we live yet? I'm not sure if we're live yet. We're holding on just a minute, I think. Live video is starting. Let's just make sure. I think it's live. Well, hi, my name is Cindy. I'm with Reinvented Delaware. And first off, let me just say thank you to the MMS Milk Paint Facebook page for inviting me to share with you a fun project. This is an easy and a fun project. I've got it right over here and I just can't wait to get started. Before I dive right in, I just want to make sure, yep, we're live. That's great. I just got a confirmation that we are live. And that also reminds me, if you have any questions about the project that we're going to work on today or any other products that Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint has to offer, like the product that we're using today, be sure to ask in the comments. I'll do my best to answer, but honestly, juggling all those balls in the air is a little complicated for me. So I'm going to have our Miss Mustard Seeds account manager. Her name is Chris, and she will be answering any questions. She's in the comments. You can already see her down in the comments. So that's great. And I don't want to take up too much time. I'm going to keep an eye on the clock, and we're just going to get to it. So anyway, the thing that we're going to learn how to do today is how to lighten dark wood. This seems to be a really big thing right now. Everyone is loving the lighter color of woods that are really popular, and there's a variety of ways of getting that look. Lots of different ways of doing it. If you're concerned about some of the methods that you might see out there and you want to find a different way to do that, that's what I've got for you today. I'm not criticizing any of the other methods, and I haven't tried the other methods, to be perfectly honest. This is a method that I've used many times over the last years of using Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint products. And for me, it's a sure win, and it's safe. That's the thing that I like about it. I'm not going to say that anything else is not safe. You be the judge there. You use your brain and you be the judge there. To get started though, let's show you what I have. Can you see that? Yes, you can. Alrighty. You're in my craft room, by the way. So this is an antique Oregon stool that I came across. We do auctions, yard sales, all that stuff. This one I found at an auction, and I'm pretty sure, yep, here it is. Here's the little tag I put on it. It was $5. I mean, I cannot get over the things that you can find at estate sales, yard sales, auctions. People just don't know the value of this stuff. When I see it, and even if it has an ugly cover, I grab it up and I go to town. Now, let me also say that this full project will be on Miss Mustard Seeds blog next Friday. I'm writing a blog post. I've been photographing and taking careful images of the steps that we're going to take to get this task accomplished. So when you see this upholstery part, we're not going to finish this part today, but it will be finished it'll be a complete project over on the Miss Mustard Seeds Milk Paint blog. So I should mention, hop over to that blog, and Chris, you can probably put that in the comments. And at some point you need to go subscribe for their email so you don't miss any of the fun projects that Miss Mustard Seeds is offering on their blog. Like lots of free projects, lots of fun projects. This is going to be one on there. And be sure to subscribe to their YouTube channel as well. Okay, so this stool I've already started on. I had to kind of do this in bits and pieces so that I don't take up your whole afternoon. The first step that you want to do on a piece like this is clean it. And while you're cleaning it, check to see if there are any repairs that might need to be made. Now, when you get a piece for $5, you're kind of figuring there's going to be a repair that you're going to have to make. The only thing I had to do on this one, let's see if I can tilt it. Yep, you can see underneath, there are flathead screws here that were loose, and I just had to tighten them, and that was it. That's the only repair I had to make. So Cindy was jumping for joy on that one, believe me. The next step that I took, after I cleaned it, I made sure it was completely cleaned, and I think in this case I used Dawn dish soap, washed it down really well, and then I went back over it with like a clear water, on the rag, and just rinsed it off so that I would not have any soap residue on the piece when it was done. The next step is to start removing some of the upholstery. Now I'm going to show you how to remove the upholstery tacks and such on this piece for now, but don't forget you'll see the complete project over on Miss Mustard Seeds website next Friday. So let's see, I want to get this a little close. Let me rearrange here. Got myself all stuck in a corner here for you. Okay. I think you can see that. Let's tilt up just a little bit. There we go. So you can see along this edge here is where the staples are. So for a little upholstery project, you're going to, like this, you're going to need an upholstery staple remover and needle nose pliers. And I have arthritic hands, so I like the kind that have that spring. See that? That extra little motion is so helpful when you're pulling out staples. Now you can use the staple remover to dig underneath that, and I'll be perfectly honest, it's best to do this with it laying on its side like this, but if I do that, you won't be able to see. But put it down, let gravity work with you, and just work that staple remover underneath and remove those staples. In this case, when I removed from the other side, you can see here that I've already started to loosen it. I was able to use my needle nose pliers. I grabbed the fabric and I could just pull, and look at that, the staple came right out. Now keep a good eye on these things. You don't want to step, look at this, you don't want to step on that. So I always keep a little can or something close by, and I make sure that I know where that staple went. So you're going to go all the way around and remove all of the staples. Let's just go ahead and pull these off. And you might see some extra staples in there because people will go a little crazy with staples. I've upholstered a lot of pieces, and this is a great beginner project if you're interested in antique and vintage furniture. You're going to run across fabric that's just downright ugly or stinky, and you're going to want to replace it. And you will love the fabric that I'm going to use to replace this one here. I can't wait to show you over on the blog. There's that staple. Get that out. Yeah. Alrighty, I think I have most of them. Like I said, once it's, let's get this one out of here. There we go. Oh my, I had more than I thought I had. So these are staying in the fabric. That's okay. You can leave them in the fabric. Just make sure you're keeping track of where they are. There we go. Okay, I've got them out now. So what I'll do on a piece like this, and I'm not going to bore you with tearing out all these staples. I'm going to put these aside so I don't accidentally spill them. But what I've done is I've gone all the way around and I've removed all of the staples, and I'm folding this inside of itself like that. So any staples that were still in the fabric, they're in there safe and sound. It's going in the trash. Now, I'm not going to go step by step over this part here, but you can see this is not very pretty. What I would do is I would remove this heavy batting, and it's still in really good shape. I'd spray it down with a fabric, what do they call those? You know, Febreze. I would spray it down with Febreze, and I'd let it sit out in the sun, and it would just air out and smell so much better. Now you'll have to read the blog post for the rest of that part. Let's get on to the wood and lightening up this dark wood. All right, let's see here. You can see this. Yeah, let's see. Tilt down a little bit. There we go. All right, so this side I've already started to work on, and this side I have not. This piece had been old-fashioned finishes. It was a shellac. I'm pretty sure it was shellac. And you can just kind of tell by the way it feels, and it has like a little bit of an amber tone to it, a little orangey. The lighting in here is maybe a little different. I'm not sure if you can see that. Kind of orangey and yellowish. So I know that that's shellac. And all you have to do to remove that is sandpaper. So I love these. These are sanding pads that are flexible. And like I said, I have arthritis. So these are really helpful for me. If I were outside, I would sand all the flat areas that I could, and then I would hand sand the rest of it. Kind of save yourself with that orbital sander. This sandpaper is, which one did I get? This one is the medium, and I like this. This is a really good grit to remove, and you're just going to sand. This one's worn out already. Guess I used that. You're going to just sand off that shellac. You don't have to use a chemical remover. You can see there, that has taken that right off. Can you see that? I guess it's easier to see because I have a little bit of a glare, but here's where I sanded and here's where I didn't. This side, I've completely sanded the whole thing, and it's just as smooth as ever. It feels so good. Okay, so I've gotten, let's see, where are we? Let's go around this side. So once it's all sanded, and you're going to go all the way around the whole piece and knock off the shine. And what I mean by that, you can see it like, yeah, I wish I could show you that. I'm looking at it at a certain glare, so I can see that I'm knocking off all of that shine. That's what you want to do. You want to go around and knock off the shine off the whole thing. You don't have to get it down to bare wood. Now you could, if you've got a good audio book in, shoot, go ahead and sand to your heart's content. But you don't have to have it completely down. The nice thing about these flexible sanding sponges is that you can curve it around see how this is curved? Yeah, you can curve that right around in there, just like that. You want to go around the whole thing. And again, I would typically have this piece laying on its side like that and let gravity help you out with it. Just go around and sand the whole piece. You can also use the edge of this to get into the grooves. This one here happens to have some grooves here and grooves here. You can also, here's two other methods I do. So my orbital sander, I like to save these sanding discs because you can really get some more use out of them. You don't have to toss them right away. This is a 220 and it still has enough scratch on it that I can still use it. I'm very funny about that. What I'll do is I'll fold it in half and it gives me this nice little crease, and that will go right into the grooves of the legs on this particular stool. Now, whatever piece of furniture you have is going to look a little bit different. So it's kind of nice to have an arsenal of different sanding tools to use for projects like this. So I ran that all the way down into that first crack right there, that first little crease. You can also use one of these sanding sponges. They come in a variety of, you know, like very fine, super fine, coarse. Get something kind of middle of the road, and you can use this edge and go in there as well. That'll get right into that edge. You can also, here's another thing I do. I save these when they get worn out. I save them, and I can take my worn out sanding disc. I really get the use out of stuff, don't I? And I can kind of hold it on there. See how I'm doing that? And sand away at the flat edges. Now, I worked on this inside during the night, during the evening last night, and I was not out in my workshop, so I didn't want to run my orbital sander in my house, of course. So doing it this way is going to reduce the dust. You're not going to have tons and tons of dust. So you're going to sand and get the whole piece sanded down. So let's move this stuff. As far as cleanup when you're on the inside, here's a little thing I do a lot. I get a couple of damp paper towels, and every bit of mess that I just made there, I can just wipe it off of my area and clean up the area very easily with that damp paper towel. You capture it all. If you have a shop vac inside, that's really handy as well. The next step is to apply the wax. So we're going to apply, can you see that all right? Yeah. Ooh. Everything is backwards when you're doing a Facebook Live, and it really gets me turned around. Okay, so to lighten that dark wood now, what we're going to do is apply Miss Mustard Seeds white wax. This is the MilkWax. This is an old label, by the way. Everything's been rebranded and a new formula. This is the white wax. I just still have some of this on hand, so I'm going to use it up. This is what it looks like. It's like, yeah, I don't know why I like to look at that. To me, that just looks like cream. It's not. It's wax, but it's super soft, so easy to use. Here's what I do. I take a chip brush like this one. Ooh, static. Like this one. And then I take my scissors and I cut it off. And what that does with these little chip brushes, it makes the bristles kind of stiff, and I just kind of like that. For me, it just kind of works. All you do is dab on that white wax, and you just rub it in. Now, we're going to talk about a couple different ways of doing this. What I like about this brush is you can work it in, and I really do like being able to do that. Work it in. Here's another thing I like about the chip brush, rather than applying it with a cloth, is that. Look at that. You can get right into those little grooves. Can you see the little leg here? Get right into the little grooves. And there you go. You've got the wax on there. Love that. I just make sure the whole thing is completely covered. Let's check to see if there's any questions so far. Okay. Oh, thanks, Chris. You said I'm using medium sandpaper. Yes, thank you very much for that. Okay, so it's going good so far. So the next step, you have a couple of options here, and I tested out a couple of options. The next step that you could do is take a blue shop towel. I keep these on hand. They're very handy. I use these blue shop towels for this kind of purpose. I would not suggest you use a household paper towel. They can leave little bits of lint and such. So I would suggest that you use the heavier shop towels. They come on a roll. Blue shop towels, keep them in your craft room or wherever you do your projects. And then what you can do before it's completely dry is go back and just wipe it off. Kind of buff it like this here. I'm just going around and around in a little, and you can see how that has lightened that up a lot. That has already lightened it up quite a bit. For the leg, just kind of wipe back. Don't worry about getting it out of the crevices. In my opinion, that just adds to the look. So all I'm doing is just wiping it back, and I'm leaving it in the crevices, and look how much lighter that looks already. I mean, I love how this looks. I love it sinking into the crevices like that. Okay, that's one way of doing it. But if you look at that and you think, well, that's not quite as light as you wanted, like if you wanted to go a little bit lighter, you can add another coat after it's completely dried. I would let it dry for a few hours, go back and apply another coat, and then you could wipe it back again. So here I am just applying some more. And this side, this leg has a bunch of little nicks in it. I can kind of imagine maybe a woman's high heel shoe hitting the back of that stool as she sat and played the organ at church. So you can add a little bit more. Take your blue shop towel and wipe it back a little bit more, and it will be even more, how do I say that? Even lighter than just the single application. You can see that. That looks really nice. I like that. Once it's dry, it just is buttery soft. Excuse me. Get a little sip of water, and then I'm going to show you the difference between those two. Okay, so here's the first one. That's just the one coat. If it's not light enough for you, let it dry a couple of hours, come back and apply a second coat, okay? Let's say you got to that second coat and you thought, oh, that's a little more than I wanted. Here's another option. I do this a lot. I take 4/0 steel wool, love this stuff. If you're concerned about it tearing up your hands, because honestly it is an abrasive and it can, I'm not too worried about my hands. At this age, I don't care. I just enjoy doing my projects. So if you're concerned, you can always get, you know, these gloves, you know, these how do you say that? Those, you know, those gloves, you know what I'm talking about. And you can take your steel wool and go back and just buff very lightly, and look how that lightens it up even more. Love this. This is probably my favorite look. And this creates, oh my goodness, it is butter smooth. All of the little scratches over the time that maybe I didn't get them all out with my sandpaper, or maybe I even added some of those scratches with the sandpaper. I don't mind that, because to me that adds to the age of a piece like this. But that white wax has just settled into all those little nooks and crannies, like look down in there. But you can see the difference. Here's where I applied the steel wool to take a little bit more off. Here's where I left it to leave a little bit more on. You can also use that steel wool here. And again, it's not going to go into the crevices, and you don't have to. If you're concerned about that, just take your steel wool and get like a little flat edge on it and use your thumb to work down in there. Let's see, can you see that? Yeah, I think you can. You can see the difference here. See that one right there? I worked it out more, and over here, it's all backwards, over here, I left the white wax in. So it's really your preference. You're going to go over the whole piece and get it to the look that you want, and it's going to be a lighter color like this here. If you wind up taking off too much, just apply a little bit more. That's no big deal at all. Here's something else I like to do with the wax, and it doesn't take much, but you can apply the wax I kind of like this look as well. Apply the wax, get a nice layer on there, and then take your blue shop towel and dab. Instead of, let me show you how I've got this folded. You want to kind of fold it so you have a flat area, okay? Like flat, like this is a little flat area. Instead of wiping, you can dab. And that just adds a whole new look to it. That looks, oh, I like that too. That adds a little bit more of some texture to it, and I really like that, and it's definitely lightened up that wood compared to what it was at the very beginning. I really love that. You let it dry, it cures completely in 30 days, then you're ready to go. And don't forget, we are going to be reupholstering the seat. I know it looks horrible. Let me show you what we're gonna do. I found a $2 curtain panel at the yard sale that I was at recently. I've got it upside down. It's a toile fabric, a curtain panel. It's nice and heavy. That's going to go on the top. Isn't that going to look so amazing? I can't wait to show you. And thanks so much for joining me today. I'll remind you again, be sure to sign up for Miss Mustard Seed's email so that you don't miss this tutorial and all the others. You can find that on their blog. I think Chris is probably going to put it in the comments. If you have any questions, if you're watching this on the replay or any time that you're watching this, be sure to ask in the comments and we will get back to you. And let's see what else. My name is Cindy. I'm with Reinvented Delaware, and you can find me here on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram, both under Reinvented Delaware, and you can find me at my blog. I share lots and lots of tutorials on my blog, reinventeddelaware.com. I have an email you can sign up for as well, and I'll just send you all the fun projects that we work on here in this workshop and also outside. So thanks so much for joining me today. I think that's it, and I cannot wait for you to see the finished project. Thanks again, and have a great weekend. I'll see ya.